Howdy folks, Kirk and Jay here with Kirk Giordano Plastering. Today what we're going to do is show you how to repair a simple ceiling repair. And basically what this is water was coming from the outside of the house, and it didn't need much here, about a cup full of water. It got in and you could see where it discolored it. That's always water damage, guys, that discoloration. A couple people tried to fix it in the past, and a couple have done an okay job, but we're going to do a little bit better. What I did was I took some of my handy dandy spray bottle here, and I put some TSB. You can put Clorox too, and I just kind of neutralize this because I see a little bit of mold here. So first thing I'm going to do is scrape this off. After I scrape it off and fix it, I actually told the homeowners, I bet I can find where that's leaking, because I've been doing this for a lot of years. So I went on the outside and I looked at it and I said, there's your problem. So we're going to fix that too, and I'm going to show you where it originated from. All you need is a cup full of water to do this kind of damage. And they had told me, gee, last January, heavy rainstorm, we had this happen. And I told them, many jobs as I've done in the past up on Skyline and Grizzly Peak, the winds do come 100 mile an hour sideways. Sometimes, once, twice, 3 times a year that'll happen. So I'll show you what I'm referring to on the outside. Right now I'm going to go ahead and scrape this off, and we're going to plaster it up. So put on my handy dandy mask because I don't want to inhale this stuff. I don't know what's in it, and I don't want to take any chances. And it's pretty simple. We just scrape it off. Pretty simple, guys. I knew the texture was coming off because I came and I touched it and I thought, the texture's coming off. And they said, well, what about the rest of the work? And I thought, it's mainly the texture. If we find anything underneath this, well, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. That's what I thought. Thought we might have a crack in here, but that's okay. We'll fix that up too. About it. And generally what I'll do is I'll get all the loose stuff, and then you see how dusty it is. I'm going to wire brush it, and then this crack here, I'll put some caulking in it, put some mesh tape over it, re-skim it, put it right back together. Piece of cake. Okay guys, I'm kind of overkill right here. What I'm doing is I'm putting a bonding agent on here. The bonding agent is to allow the plaster, I'm going to use a plaster compound to patch this. And as far as, here's the thing guys, I mean this ceiling here is pretty tight. Now when I looked at it originally, I thought all we got to do is the top cover. We're going to have some cracks here. I already know this because I've been doing this. I've taken off 500 ceilings. I know this is pretty tight right here. Now can I remove this whole ceiling? Absolutely. Is it necessary? No. But sometimes if you watched our videos, you see me tearing a whole ceiling off because I deem it necessary. This one here, I'm getting the dust off. I'm going to put a little bit of polyurethane caulking in this crack. I'm going to put a piece of mesh tape over that. That is my opinion of what's good enough. Again, if I get to tearing this whole ceiling off, will the whole thing come off? Absolutely. Is it necessary? No. So next time you see me, I'm going to have a little piece of mesh tape over this. I'm going to squeeze some of this polyurethane caulking into that hole. By the way, this is the same caulking I'm going to use on the outside too to repair where this actually originated from, the water coming in. Okay guys, now I'm putting some of this caulking. This is actually a caulking sealant. It works pretty well, and almost everything. You put 3 drops on a couple bricks, the next day you won't even be able to pull those apart. Is this necessary? I wasn't going to use it, but it does work rather well. And the mesh tape, that would be all that's necessary here. Again, this particular stuff, a couple drops and you cannot separate bricks. We're going to cover this up in a minute with a little bit of plaster, and we're going to be spreading it out, and we'll show you how we do that. Okay guys, a little bit of mud. This is actually a dash brush because this is a knockdown dash. After I spread this out, I dip this in there, give it a couple flings like so, let it set. While I'm letting it set, I'll show you the outside. Then I come back and knock it down. That's why they call it knockdown dash. So what I'm going to do here is just skim it. I'm just going to put it 1/8 of an inch. See this little piece that never came off? That's all we're going to do. Is just skim it just a little bit with what they had originally. There we go. And where I come into the existing, we just feather right into it. Like right here, for example. I use these, the existing as a template. Pull it here, and let's see. Then I'll show you how I float it. Tie it in, nothing to it. Well, out of mud on this hawk, but you folks see where we're going with it. Just like that. I'm going to go ahead and finish this one little area here, and I embed the mesh. That's all that's necessary. Okay guys, the first coat is on there. Now what I did is just, this is 1/8 of an inch thick. Where the crack was, I put a little bit more, so it's about 1/4 inch thick. I take my handy dandy float, and what I'm doing now is I'm just floating in all the areas. That way when I come back to do the dash, the joints will be floated in. And actually, I see fellows pat this like this all the time. Can you do that and then knock it down? You can, but sometimes it separates this coat prior to it drying. So if you're going to try to pat it, let it set, put another coat on, then do that. Then after everything is said and done, this is called a knockdown dash because again, once the texture is on it, you take your trowel and lightly and you just hit it, and that's called knockdown dash. Okay guys, we're on the outside where I told them I'd take a peek at it. We got a huge hole on this sill here, which we could squeeze some of this caulking in. We actually have a few nail holes here, which we're going to squeeze some caulking in. Obviously they moved that spout at one time, but here's my thought where it originally come from. Now, how could water get upside down here? Well, we have a storm. Say it's drenching, pouring down rain with the wind. We do have them occasionally. It'll come down and the wind will push it right back under here, and that's exactly where it's leaking. And this particular caulking here, it is designed to go, they say, 1/8 or 3/8 of an inch thick gap. How wide is this hole here? About 1/2 inch to 1 inch. What happens if we put caulking in a huge hole? Nothing. It just falls out if it's too thick. It's not a big deal. I've done it a lot of times. What happens if we don't? Well, it leaks. So I'm filling these up and just squeezing it in. I got some denatured alcohol, which I'm going to put on my finger and just smooth this out to make it a little bit prettier so when they caulk it. Again, guys, you could use a trowel, you could use a spatula, you could use with your finger, you could use anything, a putty knife, as long as you get that done, guys. And again, it's if you go by the rules where it says, oh gee, don't go past 3/8 of an inch, you'll do it twice. So I'd rather it just be up here once. Anyhow, guys, we're going to get back in there and I'll show you how we fix that inside, because we are somewhat watching plaster dry. Okay guys, dash brush. Dip it in soupy mud and just fling it up. That's what we call a dash. Kind of a messy finish. A lot of you guys could do a skip trowel too and match it. I can do either one myself. But for the sake of showing you what a knockdown dash is, I'll use the brush. You put it on, and don't forget your handy dandy brush for the corners. Put water on this and get all your corners real nice and smooth so they're not jagged after you got that. Now, the idea is you knock it down. You can knock it down with hardly any, you don't want to use a lot of force, just barely hold the trowel and just knock it down. Just like that. Anyway, if you do have some little slobbers that you need to put a little bit more, you can dash it or skip it like I do. Alright guys, now you can see the completion of this piece of cake if you know how to do it. And there are about 5 different ways to do this, guys, and there's so many different plasters you can use and compounds, but just try to give you an idea what you can and what are the causes of things such as this. Anyhow folks, my name is Kirk, Jason on the camera, and as usual we thank you for watching and we'll see you guys on the next one.